Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
It's Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday.
Anybody have any questions for me about the course or where we're at? Everybody saw that I've posted the videos, correct? Yep. Okay. All right. So today we're only going to be covering one chapter for this week. So we won't be, spending the whole time because the content's it's not two chapters, just one. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. All right, let me back out of here. All right, I've got to find my PowerPoint slide. So looks like it doesn't want to cooperate at the moment. Okay, there we go. All right. So chapter 6, finding job openings. So this chapter, the way to think of this chapter is pretty simple and straightforward. The opportunities to find work today, there's two paths to get there. And for the most part, one path is what I would call passive job openings. The other one would be active job openings. And when I define it as passive, what I'm saying is that these are where you get on the internet and you're looking at job postings on job sites, company sites, Indeed.com, Monster.com, other sites that post these jobs. That's the passive side, meaning you don't have to really put much effort into the process. You can see these jobs, you can apply to them. It doesn't take a lot of focus, effort, planning on your part. The active side of this process is where you do have to put the investment up front in establishing relationships and networking. And the way I would divide this, the passive versus the active, is that in the passive side, it's easier to get into the process of looking for work and making job applications, but the work that's required on that path comes later, where you're working harder to get noticed, you're working harder to get into the interviewing process. The interviewing process tends to be longer. There's more steps to it. So if you were paying a price, if you will, on the passive side, it's not in the beginning. It's easy to get in, but the work is at the back end of that process. On the active side, it's the reverse. All the work and effort takes place up front, and it calls for planning and thoughtful ways to approach people and to kind of get involved in the networking process. But what ends up happening is that the easy part of that comes later as the process evolves. It happens quicker on the active side. It is usually typically better opportunities on that side. And it's largely because of the work you have to put in up front. And many of us look at that and think of that as work that you prefer not to do. It's easier to take the path of least resistance and go the passive route. So when you're finding job openings, you have to remember this, that the job openings that you can find on the passive side, on the job posting side, represent, and there's been studies to show this, about half the available job opportunities that exist. Only half. So, and I would say 80% of people looking for work tend to take the passive route. So it's a crowded path where there's a lot of people other than you looking for and making applications for these job openings. And it's competitive. It's many times there are more applicants than the business can process. On the passive side, it's process is longer, more steps to it. It takes a lot more effort in the latter stages, because in the beginning, the employer is basically screening candidates out. Many times you can fall out of a process and not know it because the company isn't going to alert you and just basically say, we've screened you out of the process. In fact, the passive side of finding job openings is largely a process of rejection, where the company's trying to reject people out of the process to get down to a manageable core group. On the active side, it's a more of a process of selection. There are far fewer people competing for a particular job opening or those jobs that aren't posted, that aren't public. Far fewer people are aware of them, fewer people are approaching them, but it takes work to uncover those job openings and open up a process of applying for them, if that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions on how I'm kind of framing this chapter 6? Is everybody clear on the way I'm putting this out there? Fundamentally, what I'm saying is that you've got to choose which path you're going to take. And in light of that, you have to understand that the price you're going to pay on the passive side is at the end of the process. The price you're going to have to pay in time and effort on the active side is in the beginning of the process. It gets easier as the process unfolds on the active side. Okay. So find and apply for jobs that are best for you. So we're in phase 3 here, find job openings. And there are a lot of different ways to do this. Let me kind of put some out there for you. And I'm not going to, let me divide them according to how I've kind of teed this up. On the passive side, there is Craigslist, of course. There's Indeed.com. There are other, like there's Monster.com. There are others out there that some of them focus on a particular industry, like accounting or marketing or sales. So there's that process. Now, what I would also suggest you do if you're going to take the passive route is identify companies or do some research on it and create a list of companies, maybe a half dozen that you feel you want to work for because they meet work requirements you have about, a positive work environment or good reputation or large stable company, whatever, however you want to define that. And I would go directly into those companies' websites to look at the job openings on their company site. So the way this would work, let's say you want to, you think you'd like to work for Nike. So you'd go onto Nike's website. In fact, let's kind of for fun, let's look at Nike's website. Okay, so my keyboard isn't cooperating, so let's fix this. This happens occasionally. I have a Bluetooth keyboard and sometimes it drops the signal. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and look at Nike's website. So I can, and this would be the case for almost any company out there. So when I'm at Nike's site, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll to the bottom of the page, which is typically where you'll find this information that you're looking for, job postings. And at the bottom in black, you can kind of see there's about me, or about, I'm sorry, about Nike. There's news, careers. So this is where I want to go. You usually see a tab that'll say careers on a company side or working for whatever the company's name is. So if we go into careers, we can search jobs. And on the left-hand side, it says there are 1,424 open positions at the moment. And I can filter these by different various, I can do it by brand, Converse, Jordan, Nike. I can do it by career area. So there's quite a few in here. If I can do it based on administrative support, which might include accounting, data analysis. I can look at it from marketing, sales, merchandising, sustainability, supply chain, sports marketing. So, and then location, I can look at, let's just go ahead and just say Oregon. And then it's sorting them. So here are there are 186 jobs available in Oregon right now. There's a application engineer, software engineer, story design expert, and you can kind of see these. Salesforce software engineer. A lot of these are technical at the moment. There's an intern, global outsourcing, store associate. Now, here's something that you might consider, which gets at strategy. Maybe it's really important for me to work at Nike. I'm getting a marketing degree at Mount Hood. I may, because of this particular openings, I can't see anything where I'm a natural fit with my 2-year degree. So maybe one of the strategies I take is that I'm going to, now this says Bend, Oregon, but there are stores in Portland. Maybe the strategy is to get employed by Nike first and get inside the organization, and then do my research inside the organization to get promotions and look for other opportunities. To say it a little differently, if there's a there's a sales or marketing opportunity in Beaverton at Nike, I'm much more likely to have access and be considered for that job if I'm already employed by Nike than if I am outside of the company. So, and so this is a strategy. This is Nike. We could, let's stop sharing, and then I'm going to look at Intel. Well, let's look at, yeah, let's look at Intel. All right, so let's go ahead and look at Intel. So you can kind of see this. So again, I'm going to scroll to the bottom of the page. Let's see what they have. And there, lo and behold, there's careers. So I'm going to, here's kind of a pitch by Intel to kind of get me interested in being employed. There's a company overview, some of the mission statements. I can search locations here. So let's go ahead and search locations. Intel's a global company. So I might, let's activate all cookies. So let's say Oregon. Let's see what's available. All right, so in Oregon, there are 324 existing jobs at Intel. Now I can go down and I can filter these results further. Work mode, hybrid on site, experience level. And you can see quite a few here. There are 39 intern opportunities in Oregon. So you can filter this. So you can do this with any company you might have specifically in mind. So think about that. You've got Boeing. You might even think about Hood as a potential employer. So something to consider. So we'll go back to the slide deck. Okay, goals, find and apply for jobs that are best for you. So this is suggesting, again, you go back to the phase one. If you look back up here, job search journey, know yourself and your market, how to market yourself. Giving some thought to this, where could you see yourself working at Boeing, at Intel, at Safeway? Now, Safeway it seems like a local store, but they're a subsidiary of a big grocery store corporate conglomerate, and there may be other opportunities. But Safeway, Fred Meyer, others in the area here. Something a lot of people don't think about would be the state of Oregon. Go into the state of Oregon website, and we can do that. Let's state of Oregon. Okay. So what I did is I just typed in my search state of Oregon, and one of the tabs were job opportunities. So you can see here, there's careers with the state, external applicants, benefits, veteran preferences, career fairs. There's some resources here. There's a workday work tool. So if we go over here and look for jobs, and we can go filter these by different types. So there are 501 existing jobs working for the state of Oregon. Some of these are in Salem. Here I might put distance, and I might put, let's just say 50 miles. Okay, Portland. Come on. Portland. Okay. View jobs. So within 50 miles, and Salem's within 50 miles, there are 317 jobs. There's a communications coordinator, business services manager, academic standards and guidance analysts. As a mailroom clerk, again, if your strategy is that you want to work for state or federal government, maybe you look into having a job that doesn't line up with your particular career aspirations today, but gets you employed by the state. And in that case, you start your career path at that level. Okay, questions at this point? Hopefully everything I'm talking about making sense. So back to the chapters. So this is a certified HR professional. this is kind of a networking advice. Find a go-to person who'll be honest and helpful. Networking is powerful. Interviews start in the parking lot and don't end until you send a thank you note. Rejections are not personal. Seek others who are going through the same thing. One of the ways to kind of avoid taking things personally in terms of a rejection is having multiple jobs that you're pursuing at the same time. So if I'm involved in 5 or 6 or 7 different stages of application with with different companies, and one of them sends me a rejection process, I'm okay with that because now I can focus on the remaining 5. But if I'm only going about my career process at one company at a time, so I'm focused on one company, they give me a rejection note, now I don't have anything, I have to start that process all over again. It starts to make it a little bit more challenging. Prospective MBA student, get outside your comfort zone to meet people. Notice that there's LinkedIn here. We've talked about this. If you haven't started your LinkedIn account, I strongly suggest you do that because it's a way for people to connect with you, particularly in the local area. But networking in effect is you going out to organizations to meet people. And I would start with the chambers of commerce. I said this before, there are 3 chambers. There's Gresham, Portland East, and downtown Portland. There's also the Columbia Corridor Association, which are all the business located on the south side of the Columbia River. It's a significant active participant in the community. They're very well known. You could go down to Salem's Chamber of Commerce for that matter, if that's where you had an interest in being employed. This worksheets for chapters 6 through 8 are particularly helpful in this category for planning for your success. The career action worksheets, those can be found in week 5. Chapter 6, this chapter covers the role of networking in your job search, strategies for finding job openings, and finding job openings that are good for career for you. What I'm going to do at this moment is I'm going to pause for a second. I've got something here that's getting my attention. And it's going to take me 2 seconds, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for that. So let's go ahead and get back to this chapter. So this is what I was trying to explain in the beginning of the hour. If I could, networking seems complex. It seems challenging because you're not used to socially engaging people you've not met before. There's also this idea that it's in the context of a business, and that sounds scary, I guess, in some cases. But it's astounding and shocking how simple and easy it is to begin to meet people who are in business. So if you're in accounting, to meet other people in accounting, as we've talked about, if you've joined a professional association that has a local chapter, like the American Society of CPAs or the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. There's also marketing and sales organizations, SMA and others out there that have local chapters. You go to these meetings, you meet people and learn things and talk to people and get to know people, and you're going to be building your network. Okay, goals: learn to use and grow your career network. So if you don't have a career network, you want to establish one. Develop your strategy in finding job openings. We've talked about that a little bit. I mean, one path is a passive role where we look at job postings. Another one is we build a network. A third one is we go directly into the company's job postings on that company's website. Compare jobs so that you can apply for the jobs that you're most likely to get a positive response from and are best career fit for you. In some respects, you want to look at job postings and understand that you're a good match, that the company's needs and your skills and knowledge match up. At the other side of this, though, is maybe you want to take on an opportunity that's more challenging because it helps you grow and helps you kind of develop more quickly. So don't be afraid of applying for jobs that seem a little over your head, because many times those can be good opportunities for you to get a good head start and grow. Networking pays off. What's your network and why is it important? So here's a definition of a network. It's a working definition. A professional network is not unlike the network you have currently with your friends and acquaintances, people you associate with. If I asked you to make a list of 4 or 5 people you know and know well that you could meet, know on a first name basis, I think most of you could come up with 4 or 5 people. Well, think of that concept, but in a business setting. So now the focus is not on friendships and acquaintances and participating in social events. It's on the business side. So the orientation here is you're developing relationships with people who have aspired to be in the same business you aspire to be into, or already in that business or that industry, and you're building relationships and you're learning from them. People that are already in industry today, the industry you want to get into, have a compelling and strong interest in helping others like yourself who are new to the industry and giving them guidance. I wouldn't formally call them mentoring relationships, but I would call them coaching relationships. So, and what's important is your network is a set of eyes and ears for you that are out in the work environment, and they're coming across job openings and business needs. And the network, if you developed it correctly, will point these opportunities toward you. It's not unlike when you grew up, you were younger, maybe in high school, and you were looking for a job, and one of your friends who was already employed mentioned to their boss that they know you and you were looking for work. And your friend then came to you and said, look, I talked to my boss. He's interested in hiring you. You got to give him a call at this number. So it sounds somewhat informal, but that's a lot of times how people land really good jobs, is through this networking. So the object of a network is to have 4 or 5 people who are in business and in industry you're aspiring to, who you know well enough, you see often enough, where they can call you by your first name. It's not who you know, it's really who knows you. So the burden on you, it's not a large burden, but it's to keep in contact with people, have coffee, ask questions, get advice, get direction. Identify and use your network, expand your network, keep track of your network and your leads. Now, the interesting part of this process of networking is that you're relying on people who are employed to help you, who want to help you. Keep in mind, at some point, you're going to be employed in an industry and you're going to be approached by someone, a student maybe like yourself, who's looking for insights and help. So the role reversal is going to take place here, where you're going to be in a network. You may not understand it or realize it, but as an employed person, you're going to be part of someone else's network as well. What's a network and why is it important? Who do you know? And who do they know? That's your network. Somebody that's in the middle of meeting people. So, and I say it's somewhat who you know, but you're really trying to build a professional relationship with people who know you. You're sharing information, getting them to understand who you are and what your aspirations are. Now, let's just say I dropped out of a plane with a parachute in Kansas City, Kansas, and my goal is to get employed. One of the things that I would do probably first is look at any existing business organizations like the Chamber of Commerce that exist. And what I would first do is I would call almost any business organization that's got an established chapter locally has an executive director. If you look up the Gresham Chamber of Commerce on their website, you'll see the title executive director. So who's the executive director? The executive director of the Gresham Chamber, or if I'm in Kansas City, Kansas, and I'm looking to contact the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce of Kansas City, this is a full-time employee who basically manages and runs the local chapter of the Chamber of Commerce. Now, okay, so why would that person want to see me? Well, an executive director's job is twofold. It's to keep the existing members of this particular Chamber of Commerce paying their dues and happy, and it's also finding new members. So when you call an executive director, their job is to meet people, to take people for a cup of coffee, to understand who they are. So one of the things I would be doing is by calling this local Kansas City Chamber of Commerce executive director and making an appointment. Like to come in, like to have a cup of coffee, like to ask you about the chamber. I'd like to get your opinion on a couple of things. I'm new to Kansas City, and that's how it starts. And you can do that with anyone. You can call, you can walk into a business and talk to the receptionist and just ask the receptionist, you're new to the area, or you're going to be graduating and you'd like to learn a little bit more about this particular business and maybe their experience. Would they be willing to have a cup of coffee with you? Another way to do this is surveys on hiring show that more than a third of job openings are filled by job seekers who are referred by a current employee of the company. So again, warm introductions. This is this hidden job market I talked about, where networking will get you your job opportunity, good network, much more quickly than the passive side that we talked about. Identify and use your network, create a list, reach out to everyone on the list, revise the list, contact connections for network meetings, prepare for every career network meeting. A career network meeting is basically a meeting where you're talking about who you are, what your aspirations are, what your experiences have been, and understanding that person's view of that industry. So it's a fairly narrow group of 4, 5, 6 people who you keep maintaining contact with, maybe once every 3 months, certainly at least once every 6 months, where you're giving them an update on your status and you're also asking them for help and information on your status. Expanding the network. So you may start off with 4, 5, 6 people. People tend to get promoted, move, lose touch. So you're in a position where you're adding or replacing people to your network on occasion. So you're looking to initiate conversations with people who can maybe make your network stronger. Some of the ways of opening a conversation: what do you do for a living? How did you find your job? What advice would you have for my job search? Who should I talk to? One of the things I'm going to do with the executive director in the Chamber of Commerce in Kansas City, the one I talked to, is I'm going to, after talking with the executive, I'm going to ask them to tell me who I should talk to next. Who would they suggest I talk to? Who are people and members of the chamber that it might be good for me to get insights to? And then what I'm going to do is ask the executive director to introduce me to them. So I'm going to attend a meeting where the executive director is going to walk me over and introduce me to people who have never met me before. I don't know. And I'm going to start the process over again. I'm going to tell them who I am, why I'm here. I'd like to get some input, some advice, some direction. And again, you'll be shocked at how much time people dedicate to giving you that time to help you. Keep track of your network leads, contact information. strategies for finding job openings, work your network, get connected, search job openings. So here's what I would suggest the plan would be for you to search job openings is I would use both passive and active. I wouldn't exclusively necessarily use one or the other, but I'd use both just to keep me active. Many times the passive process of applying for jobs and doing interviewing keeps your skills sharp, opens you up to opportunities you may be unaware of, and keeps you engaged in the process. So it's a good idea to kind of use both of these. Work your network, find job openings. Have you developed and practiced using your personal brand statement? Again, when you're meeting someone the first time, you have a really brief opportunity to make a good first impression. So what is it you're going to say? Do you have something that you can kind of say a standardized statement? I'm a student at Mount Hood, graduating with a degree in 3 months. I'm really excited about getting involved in the accounting industry, particularly around administrative work like payroll, accounts payable, accounts receivable. What could you tell me about that type of work in your business? Who does it? How is it done? What's the pros? What's the cons? Getting connected professionally, spend more time with people in your career field. In the first week in November, there's a career fair in Mount Hood. I think I sent out a notice on this. If you haven't thought about it, I would encourage you to go there, bring some of your resumes along, meet people behind the booths and get to introduce yourself, get contact information. Many times the company that you want to work for doesn't have an opening that fits you at the moment, but you want to take contact information and ask the person if it'd be okay to follow up. Most of the people at job fairs are HR people, so they can tell you quite a bit about their company and the work opportunities there. So, I would encourage you to go to the job fair if you haven't thought about it. You're going to be asked questions, pretty simple. Who are you? What brings you here today? This location works well for this event. I mean, how are you going to engage someone? Tell me about your company. That's a pretty broad area, but you might even just say, well, what are the opportunities that your company's trying to fill today? Where are the opportunities to start that conversation? Search for warm introductions in the career network and cold leads, job boards. Now, we talked about this, the career services area on the first floor near the, not far from where the bookstore used to be. There's an office there. There's a job board outside the office. You can see it any time that lists employers call Mount Hood all the time with job openings. Employer websites, job search engines, job information sites. Craigslist not a bad place to look. Some of the caveats I would put there would be if a job posting's older than 2 weeks, then I might not, if it's been there for 2 to 3 months, that might be one that I might ask questions about. Use the Career Center at Mount Hood. You've paid for it through your tuition. It's there. It's for your use. It's free. Evaluate your qualifications. Determine what's best for you. Make the best job openings a high priority. Evaluate your job qualifications. Again, I say stretch a little bit. Don't be deterred by requirements a company might put out there. Why a company's putting job requirements on in many respects is a way of screening out and getting too many applicants. It's not that they're not interested in people who don't have these job requirements, but it's a way of kind of, again, screening the quantity down. Determine what's best fit for you. Again, the career action worksheets can help with this, matching your qualifications. If your ratings don't match your gut feeling, talk with someone and review what's important to you. Keep working at it. It's kind of an evolving process. You don't typically arrive at an understanding of who you are and what your interests are because it changes. It may be that today there may be aspirations or things that change in your career in the future. So you want to stay on top of that. Make the best fit job openings for a high priority, balance between current stretch and contingency job targets. Most jobs should be in the current job target category. Don't focus on your dream jobs only. Don't settle by focusing on contingency jobs. And then ask trusted friends to help you keep balance. Now, one of the things that's going to sound a little crazy that I'm going to suggest you consider is to start applying for jobs now, even jobs that you don't think you're qualified for, but start applying for them. You may find yourself in the process of getting interviewed for it, and that's fine things. Now, remember, you're trying to gain experience in this process. If you're getting asked to be involved in a screening process with job interviews and taking tests in a job you're sure you don't want, do it anyway. It's going to be a good experience. And remember, in the end, you get the chance to tell the employer no. It's not just the employer. If the employer says, "Congratulations, here's a job offer," you don't have to take that job. That's not a requirement. Now you might think, well, gee, that's misleading because I'm going through the company's process of interviewing, they're spending time with me. Well, frankly, the company does that with you too. They post jobs when there are jobs available because they want to keep the people who do the interviewing, their skill sharp. So you're applying for and interviewing for a job that doesn't exist. The company's not going to tell you that, but that's the case many times. Many times companies post a job for a particular area because they're anticipating a need. They don't have it today. So you're going to send your resume in. They're going to keep it in a kind of an electronic file. So the day that they do need that, they may call on you. So a lot of the job postings here are a mixed bag. So don't feel reluctant to apply for a job opening and get involved in a hiring process. You shouldn't be feeling guilty about that. Dress like you have the job, be neat, even nice clothes look unattractive when they're stained, wrinkled, covered with dog hair. That's pretty straightforward. You know that. One of the things you want to think about is that you want to dress as if you're dressing like a current employee, button-down collars or pants, skirts, whatever it might be. There may be a company uniform they're expected to wear. Good hygiene, tight clothing, athletic wear. I mean, if you look like you're taking the process casually, they won't believe you're taking it seriously. Networking, so many job options, it's easy to get overwhelmed. Try submitting resumes for Popular, Indeed, Monster, LinkedIn. Those are 3 I'd recommend. Craigslist might be another. Set up email alerts on job search engines that alert you to new job openings. This can be done with a particular company where you can indicate an interest when a job opening comes available, and they'll alert you to that. Find the names of people associated with job listings or employees that company you can contact them directly. One of the websites called Glassdoor, I believe, is it's an area where you can find out who former employees, even current employees, will post comments anonymously about their company, about their pay scales, about their work environments, their general reputation, what the work environment might be like, how employees are treated, etc. Okay. I'm going to skip that. Your network can be a key to treasure trove of job openings. Pick a key from everyone you know, start opening doors, keep expanding your network. Statistics show that job seekers use many resources for finding job leads, find jobs faster than people use 1 or 2 sources. So again, use passive methods, use active methods, by your network, go directly to job companies, start participating in business associations locally to get to meet people, kind of polish your skills, get good at and introducing yourself. Things you're not familiar with, haven't done in a long time. You can kind of use that as a way to learn how to get better at it. So that's basically chapter 6. Next week, we'll talk about writing job applications and effective tailored cover letters. So we'll start talking more about that next week. But at this moment, does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. So if you-
I have a question,
Sure,
Steve.
Laura.
So is the Cottage Career Center is the one you told us, the library?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. Okay, so I think at this point, if you think of a question, email me afterwards. Otherwise, I'll see you at 10:30 next Friday again, and we'll cover the next two chapters. If you find yourself with some trouble or a question on a process, don't hesitate to let me know, email me. And then I'll post this video early next week so that you have that to kind of review and reinforce some of the things we talked about. So last call for questions. Any questions? No? Okay. Want everybody to have a good, fun, safe weekend, and I will talk to you next Friday.
Thank you. Bye.